All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. I'm here with Brother Tyler and Brother Paul again. We're here with part two on speaking about guns. And what we left off in the first segment is we was trying to do a compare, kind of like, I guess you could say we're comparing, of the actual response of the general public, or we call the court of public opinion, whenever there's something that takes place. Because it seems like whatever takes place in the United States of America, the people in Canada also follow with the same response. When we had Sandy Hook and we just recently had Orlando, who would ever thought that the homosexuals or the gays would actually go out and purchase firearms? I mean, they're literally flying off of the shelves. So while our legislative body consists of the so-called lawmakers, in which I don't understand it, maybe y'all can explain that to me as well. How can the Supreme Court rule and make laws from the bench, and when we have congressmen and senators who's supposed to be lawmakers? Maybe we can get into that. But in the United States of America, the homosexuals are buying up guns at record number because of that last tragedy that took place down there. So what is it, and we'll go with you first, Brother Paul, what is it in Toronto, what takes place, and what is the attitude of the people that whenever there's gun crime, as they call it, in the United States of America, that they respond up here in Canada by purchasing firearms as well?
Well, I'm sure that there is that element. In Canada, it's not as easy to purchase firearms. Like, you first have to take a course now and then be licensed, and it takes there's like a waiting period through the RCMP before you actually get your license issued after you pass your tests. Once you get your license, then you can go to a gun shop and buy, you know, either a pistol or a long rifle. So here, it's not like they could react right away and go and buy a gun tomorrow. If there's a tragedy today, it's going to be like 6 months at least before they can actually go out and buy a firearm, unless they're already licensed. But it does happen. Right now in Toronto, what's happening as a result of Orlando, it's Pride Month in Toronto, and they're having their gay pride parade later this month. So the gay community is basically meeting with the police forces because they can't necessarily go and buy their own guns right away. They're calling on the public defense, the police force, to beef up security, because there have been apparently threats saying, hey, Pride Day, that would be a good time to go out and attack this community. So there is fear, there is concern, and I guess they're taking whatever actions they can legally to try and add further protection to their event so they can celebrate their celebration with some mode of peace, or, you know, less fear anyway of being attacked.
All right, so I mean, you have a carry permit, is that correct? Or at least you have some type of gun license, or something. What do you have, Tyler?
It's non-restricted, which is long rifles, shotguns, hunting stuff, things like that. And you can generally carry those in your car anywhere you really want to take them.
Okay.
Mostly people just use them for hunting and stuff, of course. Some of it are for farm defense, home defense, although, you know, if you actually defend your home with it, you could be very well jailed, of course. But and then there's the restricted license, which is like pistols and certain restricted long rifles like AR-15s. And then there's the prohibited class. And the prohibited class is a little bit different, where you have to have had a prohibited weapon or something that is legally prohibited, such as an AK-47 or any variant of that, before the ban in the 90s. And there's different classes to it too. And actually, in Canada, you can own missile launchers, 50 BMG, fully automatic machine guns. You can own tanks that actually shoot explosive projectiles and things like that. But you have to have owned that before the ban. And you can actually still buy and trade those kind of things today if you have that prohibited license.
So what about someone in, maybe, you know, if that took place, and then let's say grandpa or father died, and the son is in line, could he inherit that and still, you know, be free of the law?
I think in some instances of the prohibited weapons, such as the very lowest class of prohibited weapons is pistols with a barrel shorter than 3 inches or 2.5 inches or something like that. Those could probably be inherited and grandfathered. However, 50 BMG fully automatic stuff, I would imagine the government would just seize on upon death.
in the United States, they have a law called eminent domain. Eminent domain. And that means, you know, you have a right to be able to protect, basically in a nutshell, protect your area and everything. See, and I'm seeing something I'm hearing something from y'all that it just simply doesn't register and make sense in my mind. And what it is this, is that you have to actually, I hope I heard right, you have to actually have someone to shoot you before you can retaliate.
Yeah, that's
And if your family is in threat of or in danger of their life, or you are in danger of your life, the only way you can retaliate is after they have already done harm to you. Am I hearing correct?
in some instances, that's exactly what the law will do. They'll make it so that the first one to attack is the well, obviously the attacker. But if you attack first, knowing that the other person's going to attack you, then they'll just blame you as the attacker. Even if they walk into your home with a fully loaded firearm, attempting to kill your family, shooting rounds off, but assume none of them hit you, but you hit him first, then you could be very well charged as the attacker.
You see, it seems to be a worldwide issue, and it seems to be, it seems to me that the politicians just simply don't understand. We have actually people, not only in this country, but in America, that's more afraid of the laws than they are of the person that perpetuates any kind of crimes or evil against them, which is, to me, some type of spiritual retardation. It just simply don't make sense, because in America, if you even feel threatened, and somebody's approaching you, if they have a knife or a baseball bat or something like that, and you have a gun, you can actually eliminate that threat. Now, I guess where we need to go from here is the jury system then. Our jury system is jacked up. Most Americans don't know that pretty much the judge steers the jury. They don't even know they're being coerced. They don't even know they're being manipulated. But the judge pretty much steers the jury or the trial in the direction that he or she wants it to go. Because in America, people are just not sound. They're not discerning, and they believe whatever the judge says, regardless of what and they don't understand and know that they have a right to judge the law. So in America, they got this saying down there, I would much rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. What is the sentiment up here as far as the jury goes? Do they have any confidence in the jury up here, Brother Paul?
Well, you're definitely right, Pastor. The jury can very well be manipulated, because every trial there's a selection process for the jury, and they will ask you a series of questions to get a general feel for your viewpoints. And if your personal viewpoints are not in line with what they want, you know, like let's say it's a sexual offense type of trial, if they see that you're somehow sympathetic to sexual offenders for some reason and they want to get a conviction, they just won't select you for trial. They want to get people that are going to vote in their favor.
So would the people up here in Canada actually judge somebody against natural law if they wanted to defend themselves, if they felt threatened, if someone is threatening their life? Would they actually truly side with the system and go with them as opposed to, you know, what the natural law tells?
They probably would, in that, just like many Americans, most Canadians do not know the law. We're not taught law. Like, unless you study it in school, you don't know what the law is, you don't know what your rights are. So you go there, and again, the media is always anti-gun, and you know, if the judge is steering the jury in that direction as well, they may very well side, you know, against the defendant who is defending themselves. Here, when they talk about self-defense, it's the law basically stipulates that you can use up to equal or lesser force than what your attacker's using. So if your attacker's using a knife, you cannot use anything greater than a knife to defend yourself. Otherwise, it's excessive force, and now you're the one committing the assault.
Well, what do you know about it, Bro Tyler?
Well, it's about the same. I mean, you can carry knives in Canada, of course. I'll show you this one here. This is a pretty large knife. I use it for self-defense. Honestly, mostly I just use it for arboring trees and things like that. But it's no more than 6 inches is what you can carry. And of course, if the attacker has a knife, then you can use a knife against him, but that's the only case that you can.
And that's the thing I think I'm trying to drive home more than anything. Are the people, I'm gonna use, you ever heard my 4 Ds that I use in videos commonly all the time in America? I believe it was dumb, dormant, docile and demoralized. And I'm not going to give an opinion about the Canadian citizens in reference to that area, but are they that much asleep that if a family man is defending his home, defending his family, that they would actually sentence this man to prison or possibly even death for defending himself?
If they want to break up the family, that's the best way to do it. One of the ways, right? Is if he can defend his family, then he's a threat to the system.
All right, that's part 2. We'll be back in the last segment here in just a second.